Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. So today's DIY is so simple. I'm going to show you guys how to make this tote bag. It's lined inside. As you can see, this is something that you can make for yourself, for shopping, or something that you can also make if you want to sell and make some extra money. So without wasting time, let's get straight into the video. So we are going to start off by cutting our fabrics, and I have two square printed fabrics and they were 16 inches by 14 inches. And then I also cut two pieces of the lining fabric using the same dimensions that I used to cut the printed fabric. And then so for the outer pieces I used this hard interfacing, and then for the lining, the inner lining, I used a more soft interfacing. I used a soft interfacing. Then I now went on to iron on all the interfacings or filing, and some people like to call it stay. It has so many different names. I ironed on the interfacing on the printed fabric, and I now went on to iron the interfacing on the lining. So here I was done ironing on all the interfacings. Then I now went on to the corners of all my fabrics, and then I would mark 2.5 inches on all the corners. Just like that. I did this for all the pieces. And then I now took the printed fabric pieces and then I attached them like that. I laid them, putting the right sides facing each other. Then I put pegs on the bottom like that, and then I stitched. After stitching, when I open it, this is what it looks like. Then I now went on to make the handles. So for the handles, I measured 4 inches by 26 inches strips of fabric, 2 of them. And then I also cut interfacing. I used the hard interfacing for these ones. And then I now went on to iron on the interfacing. after ironing it, I would fold the edges inside, fold the other edge inside as well and iron, and then I would now fold the whole strip in half, just like that. Then I would stitch, so you can stitch on both sides. Then I now went on to attach the handles. So to attach the handles, you place them like that. Make sure that everything is centered. Use your ruler to measure to make sure everything is centered, and then also attach the handles on the other side. Then I now went on to stitch, so you can stitch like 3 or 4 times to make sure that it's strong. Then I now folded the whole thing in half. Then I went on to the edges like that, to those sides, and then I went on to stitch. So after stitching, I now went on to my corners. Then I would fold the corners like that, put my pegs, then went on to stitch. At that moment I stitched my corners. As you can see, the bag was already starting to take shape. Then I now went on to prepare the lining. So to prepare the lining, I first started by putting my lining right sides facing together, and then I now went on to stitch the edges. And then when I got to the bottom, that space that I marked, I did not stitch it. This is the space that we use to turn the bag inside out. So I stitched the sides, and on the bottom I left a little space. Then I now went on to fold the corners like I had done with the printed bag. Then you now go and stitch these corners. So after stitching the corners, this is what it looks like. So at this moment you only turn inside out one of the bag, either the lining or the main body of the bag with the printed fabric. So I chose to turn inside out the printed side. Then I now took my lining and I put it over the bag. Making sure that the handles are still inside, I now went on to pin that entire top of the bag. Then I now went on to stitch it. After stitching it out, I now use that little gap that I had left on the lining to pull the lining outside. Then I now went on to sew that gap shut. Then I now stuffed the lining back inside the bag, and I just fluffed it up to make sure that it is a nice shape. And then I now went on to iron everything out. So you can, after ironing, you can actually go and top stitch this part. Make sure that everything is strong. Press out all the seams. And there is the bag. So as you can see, the bag can actually stand by itself even with nothing inside. Thank you so much for watching this video, you guys. I hope it was informative and it will help you in your future projects. I hope that you join me again in my next videos. Bye.